Hey guys, happy Sunday. My name is Laura Mondell, aka The Fit Law. Coming to you live with my TFL recipe of the week. Today we're going to be doing sausage and leek soup. This is one of those recipes that I kind of just made up, in all honesty, just because I had a bunch of stuff in my fridge at one time. I want to say I came up with this recipe about a year ago. I had a bunch of stuff in my fridge and it was just kind of left over, and I'm like, what do I need to put together? And over time it's just kind of developed into something else. I used to put flour and other stuff to thicken it a little bit, and I've kind of customized it so that we can use it in our healthy recipes, and it's Whole30 approved and all of those things. So I'm gonna kind of walk through this with you. The recipe list for groceries went up Friday morning, so if you have that, feel free to cook along with me. If not, that's totally fine too. Click that link that's up in the description, and that will give you the full breakdown of everything you need and the recipe. So if you want to go pin it onto your board, you totally can. You can do it later. So first thing I'm going to do is I have sausage. Now on the recipe, I asked for kielbasa, and you can use other sausages though. By the way, my husband is going to be taking questions. He's off here to my left. So if you have questions, just pop them below and he'll read them to me as they come in. Now, here's the thing. I understand that not everybody can find this sausage. I couldn't even find it. So what I did is yesterday at Trader Joe's, I found beef hot links. I am going to recommend some kind of spicy sausage just because it works well with the flavors of the soup, right? You want something that's not just like unseasoned sausage because it's not going to add to the soup. So this is beef hot links, no nitrates, gluten-free. There's no sugar in these, so they're Whole30 approved. I got these at Trader Joe's. There were 4 in a package, and I just sliced them up. You can use chicken sausage. You could use, the sausage like that comes in a tube if you wanted. You can pretty much use any kind of sausage you want, but just get something that has some kind of spice in it. If you don't, then you're going to want to add some more spices than what I'm calling for. So I just have all 4 of these just cut up here. Now here's the other thing. Mine is pre-cooked. If you don't have pre-cooked sausages, that's totally fine. This first step is going to cook it either way. So what we're going to start with is you need a pot. This is between like 4 and 6 quarts is ideal. And we're just going to stick the sausage in there. So if it's uncooked, same thing, just slice them into rounds. Okay, mine's already cooked through, but I'm still going to heat it up. You're going to stick it in your pot, low, like medium, high heat. I'm going to just stick it on medium and then just put the sausage in. Okay, there's nothing else in there at all. And the reason we're going to do that is we're going to brown that up and kind of get we want those like little brown bits on the bottom so that when we start adding other stuff, it really picks up all that flavor into the soup. Okay, so I'm going to brown those for just a couple minutes while I kind of prep my other stuff. So there are 4 different kinds of vegetables in this soup. It's potatoes, leeks, celery, and carrots. And I actually need a peeler, which is let me find it. Need that. Do you know where the potato peeler is? Might be in the dishwasher. Okay, well, he'll be on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our leeks. Now, when you're cleaning leeks, you just need to cut them, and I've already done this. I already washed all my stuff. Thank you. You need to cut them in half lengthwise, okay? And then you really want to wash them really, really, really well because there's a lot of dirt that gets in between these folds, okay? So just be sure that you wash these really well. You need 4 large leeks. Don't cut the ends off, just cut them in half. And we're just going to slice these. I'm just going to use this same bowl because it was already cooked sausage. And I'm going to add all of my vegetables in there. So I'm just going to slice these just really thin, okay? And like I said, this is 4 large leeks that you need. Cut all the way down to about there, okay? And then just pitch that. And you can hear my sausage behind me is kind of starting to sizzle. I want it to just brown up a little bit. So like I said, we get some of those really cool brown bits on the bottom, because when we deglaze the pan, which means adding liquid to a hot pan, when we deglaze it, we're going to pull up all those bits and it's going to give our soup really, really good flavor, okay? So I'm going to do a couple more of these. Do you guys hear it? Leeks are such an underused vegetable. They're kind of like a cross between garlic and onion. They're really, really, really good. And they are awesome for soups. And they're great this time of year because they're cheap because they're seasonal in the winter. So There's enough fat in the sausage, by the way, that you don't need to add oil or anything to the pan, okay? So just stick it in there. Smells so good already. Okay. All right, here we go. Now, if you don't have leeks or you couldn't find them, you can substitute, like, I would say about an onion and a half, like a white onion, as well. So that's totally fine if you couldn't find them. I know they're kind of hard to find, but it isn't going to be, obviously, sausage and leek soup then. You know, you can totally use onion and it'll just be like a sausage soup, and it'll still be really, really good, but I think leeks just add, excuse me, a really, really good flavor to it, and they're just pretty. Like, the soup itself is just a pretty soup because the leeks are in it. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up. I got a couple more. I'm going to start chopping these 2 at a time. Of course, my cat is by my feet because that's where he likes to sit when I cook. My husband's laughing, but he knows. Our kids and my cat like to be in the kitchen with me. Just make sure that you stir those every once in a while, okay? But you want them to brown up. Not burn, but brown. So that was a question that I got on the grocery list, though, is if I have uncooked sausage, what do I do? It's the same thing. You're going to stick it in first, no big deal, and just make sure that it's cooked through. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it out, we'll cook the vegetables, and then we'll add it back in at the end, okay?
Kelly Cranston asked, does the soup freeze well?
Yes. I mean, pretty much any soup that doesn't have cream in it is going to freeze pretty well. So this should be fine because there isn't any cream. So yeah, it should be. It also keeps for about a week in the fridge. This only makes about 6 servings. So if you were going to freeze it and like make a lot, I would actually double the recipe because it'll give you more for like leftovers.
We've frozen soup before.
Did we freeze this? I can't remember.
Not this, the other similar.
No, we definitely freeze soup. The only reason I don't like freezing soups is because I never have enough. We use like not plastic Tupperware. We have like really good glass Tupperware, and I freeze soups in my Tupperware, and then I run out because I don't have enough to use because they're all in my freezer. So I need to go get some of those quart containers. You can get them at Gordon's Food Service. They're awesome. Whoops, I missed the sink. They're awesome for freezing soups. This is a lot of leeks. But that's okay. And the other thing we're not going to use is a thickener. So usually in these soups, because you want them to thicken up, you use like a slurry, which is cornstarch and water, or you use a roux, which is butter and flour, and they use that to thicken up. Because we're adding potatoes, it's a natural thickener, right? It's a natural starch. So we're going to cook it with the potatoes in it, and it's going to naturally thicken our soup without any added flour or anything like that, which is kind of cool, and it makes it a little bit more healthy. All right, so my leeks are done. Check my sausage really quick. Okay, we're going to give that like another good minute, and then we'll start adding vegetables. So we're going to do celery. You just need 2 like stalks. You don't need a ton. It's just to add a little bit of flavor, nothing crazy. So make sure you clean these up. These are already washed, but I'm going to cut off the ends. And then we're going to slice these pretty thin. So these are almost going to melt into the soup. Like, they're not going to be super hearty like a stew would be. They're basically just in there, like I said, for the celery flavor, which I know is really mild, but it is a good contrast against kind of the bite of the leek. So do these really, really thin. And it says, I usually use just 1 big one, but these weren't that huge. So again, use your judgment if you want to add more. That's what's great, I think, about soups is that they can kind of become these dump recipes where it's like, what do I have in my fridge? Oh, I have that. I can dump that in my soup. And that's how a lot of my recipes actually started, is that I just find stuff and I'm like, all right, well, I need to get rid of this and I need to get rid of this. What can I make? I can make soup. And I throw everything in a pot and like turn it into something. And I think that's also why I like to cook and not bake, because I'm not a science baker. Like, I can't do that. I'd much rather, I'm like, that sounds good, and I throw everything together. So when I used to do my live feeds, it was funny because people would ask me measurements and I'm like, I don't know, it's like a little of this and a little of that. So I had to kind of sit down and like figure out what actually goes in some of my recipes. Okay, so sausage is done. So turn the heat off just for a minute. we're going to get a bowl, and I'm going to just take the sausage out. We're going to set that aside, and then we'll start cooking our vegetables, okay? It smells really, really good.
Off the soup subject, is that elf on the shelf in the mug behind you? Yes, that is the elf on the shelf. That is where he decided to
fly this morning.
Make his home.
Because, you know, you guys know that we love coffee. And our elf on the shelf likes coffee, too. Okay, so I have all these beautiful, beautiful brown bits in the bottom. And all that is flavor. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make with soup is they don't add enough seasoning. Because you have to remember, with a lot of liquid, you need a lot more seasoning than you normally would season stuff with, right? Because you're seasoning not only the food that's in the stock, but you're also seasoning the stock itself. So it's really important to make sure that you're seasoning things properly, especially with soups. So that's just, I'm just going to set this aside over here, okay? And next we're going to start adding our vegetables. So leeks and potatoes are actually going in second. First things we're going to add are these celery and carrots. So I said one large carrot. Again, I have some that are smaller, so I'm going to peel these really quick. Can you move your butt, please? So chop off the tops, chop off the ends. You guys know the drill. And we're going to peel these and slice them. Okay. I love carrots, and I love rainbow carrots. I always get these at Trader Joe's. They're really, really inexpensive, and I love them because I think they're pretty. So I picked my favorite colors. That's why we're doing purple and orange in this soup, just because I think it's cute and it looks good. All right. My husband likes this too. He loves anything with sausage, pretty much. Those sausage peppers that I made last time.
Oh, my goodness.
So good. We've been on a sausage kick lately. Well, he doesn't really get on kicks. I get on kicks, and then he's just along for the ride. So I get on kicks where I'm like eating certain things. I'm trying to think. I went on a kick for a long time about like roasting things. So I roasted like all of the chickens and, you know, like had roasts in the oven and like all this stuff. And it was just like weeks of what can I make and put in a roasting pan and eat. So I kind of go on these like rotations of stuff that I want to cook. I can just throw this in. And so he's usually just like along for the ride. But that's also how I know if I make something that he really, really doesn't like. I know pretty quickly because he'll be like, oh yeah, it's really good. And I'm like, you hate it. Which doesn't happen often.
I don't think that's ever happened.
I think it's happened like once. I think I've made pork or
I can't
something and
remember
it was
the last
really,
time
really
that you
dry.
made something that I didn't like. Do you ever find purple carrots make your soup purple?
Oh, that's a good question. No, because actually, they're dyed, or they're like actually orange in the inside. So if you look, they're orange on the inside. So they're just a little purple. No, I wouldn't say that they wouldn't make my soup purple. I don't know. That's a really good question because I haven't used them in soup before, honestly. I usually roast them. So it just is, my son's trying to sneak in here. I usually just roast them. I haven't actually used them in soup before. I usually just use regular orange carrots in soup, but I would think if my orange carrots wouldn't turn my soup orange, then purple carrots wouldn't turn it purple. But I guess we'll find out tonight. And I think it's diluted enough that like the stock is diluted enough that it won't, but I guess we'll find out. Okay, so we have some pretty carrots. And with these, to make sure that they're all the same size, just take the bigger end and cut it in half. And if it's really big, then cut it in half again before you slice them. You just want to make sure that you're doing these pretty thin. This soup does not get cooked for a super long time. It's basically just until the potatoes are tender. And the reason is because everything else is already cooked, right? We're going to cook our vegetables. You cooked your sausage already. So everything else is going to be done. And you just basically have to do these potatoes because these veggies obviously cook really, really quickly.
That sausage smells good.
I know. That hot sausage, though, smells really good. I can't believe I found compliant sausage either. Compliant sausage for Whole30, which is no sugar added, no gluten, no preservatives, stuff like that, is almost impossible to find. Okay, so a little bit of olive oil. I believe I called for 1/4 cup. It's not a ton, but there's also going to be some reserved fat from the sausage in there. So use your judgment. If there's some fat left over that you can cook the vegetables in, again, flavor, right? So you can just add a little bit of olive oil. Just like use your eye. Okay. Turn it back on. Yeah, I didn't actually need that much. And then we're going to stick our veggies in. So this is just the carrots and celery. We'll add the leeks and stuff later because these are really thin and they're going to cook really quickly. So we're going to add these in. Okay. Okay, and then we're gonna start, we're gonna cut up our garlic really quick, and then we'll do our potatoes and kind of throw the rest of this together. So I called for 3 large garlic cloves. I was at the end of my bulb, so I'm using quite a few little ones. You can use a garlic press if you want. I'm actually just gonna show you guys how to do this. So when you're mincing garlic, whoa, geez, don't cut yourself like I just about did. Hand, right, is smacking the top of the knife. You're gonna make sure that your knife is not up. Duh. It's flat, and so that's gonna separate the peel from the garlic, and you can pull it right off, okay? So that makes your life a little bit easier when you're mincing garlic. It's funny because people forget that garlic and onions are related, so you can cry cutting garlic just as much as you do with cutting onions, just FYI.
Gina said she's going to start Whole30 January 1st for the first time. Any pointers for a newbie?
Yes. So, a couple things. Number 1, read the book. Don't be one of those people that goes on Pinterest and thinks just because you read a food list, you know what Whole30 is, because you don't. So, please, 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 I cannot stress this enough, get the book. We're actually starting, I have a couple coaches of mine and myself that are starting first week of January as well. So I'm really excited for that also. So there's another book too. It starts with food, which actually came before Whole30. That is also another really amazing read. I would recommend reading both of them. But read the book and also set aside time. I know a lot of people try to do it over the holidays, which is just not practical. You have so many other things going on, so just make sure your schedule's clear. And again, this is stuff that they tell you in the book. And then the next thing would be make sure that you have emergency snacks on hand for when you don't feel like cooking, and make sure that you set aside time to food prep and that you follow through with your food prep. Because that's the biggest thing, is that Whole30 is, I think it's actually pretty simple with the amount of food that you can eat, but actually having food to eat is hard because you have to cook a lot of it. Okay, so we're just going to mince these garlic cloves up really quick. You can kind of smash them down a little bit, that way they don't, well, that way they usually don't fly all over your cutting board. Okay, so again, it's about 3 large garlic cloves that we're just gonna slice up. A lot of these soups that I've seen that have leeks don't call for garlic, but I'm a really big garlic fan, so we like the garlic in my house. We go through a lot of it, actually. Okay. Let's check our veggies really quick. Oh, babe. They're frying up nicely. Okay. So we have our garlic off to the side here, and I'm just going to actually throw this in with the leeks because I'm going to add them at the same time. Okay, let me rinse my hands really quick. That's the other thing, is I just know a lot of people that have tried to do Whole30 and they fail, and my first question that I always ask them is, did you read the book? Well, no, I read some pointers, or I read a part of the book, and I'm like, read the book.
Ashley's also starting. She's asking what workouts do we do on the Whole30 diet. We actually, we just got done doing, or we're almost done doing core force. So we finished
You
on...
can pretty much do any workout that you want. Yeah. I would just be careful with overcommitting. So I have a lot of people ask me, can I do Whole30 with the 21-day fix diet and the 21-day fix container system, and can I also do the workouts? They just try to do too much. So just make sure it's something that you're already doing, because taking on a brand new exercise program and Whole30 at the same time, it's just a lot, and you really want to be focused, okay? So just make sure that you're doing something that you enjoy doing. That's all you really have to do is okay, I know that I like this workout, so I'm going to do it. You shouldn't have to change your exercise routine at all. Okay, so I'm going to slice these potatoes up so that they're ready to go. So again, we're doing them in pretty small dices, okay? So I'm just going to kind of cube them a little bit.
Carolyn wants to know how this soup would fit into the container system, and also wants to know what is a leek.
A leek is a vegetable. It's a mix between probably onion and garlic. It's really long, it's green, it's really pretty. And I would say for the container system, you just want to make sure that you're using low sodium broths in your soups because they limit salt on the 21-day fix. And this would be probably a vegetable, half of a carb because of the potatoes, and a protein because of the sausage, I would think. And maybe a teaspoon. No, I think, yeah, that'd be probably about good. It would be like a veggie, half a carb, and a protein. Soups are really difficult for the container system just because there's so many ingredients. Like, again, you have to account for the oil and, like, you know, stuff like that. So I think just use your best judgment. Make sure that you're using whole ingredients and doing stuff like that. So, okay. All right. We're almost done with these potatoes.
Is it true for the first 3 days of Whole30? Is it true the first 3 days of Whole30 are horrible? I've read people say they feel hungover. Is it a detox process?
Yes, for sure. For sure. Can you click the button on there? Absolutely. It's again, the reason I tell everybody to read the book is because it goes through all of this. There's an actual physical timeline in the book, and it's like, this is how you're going to feel on day 1 through 3. This is what you're going to feel on day, 3 through 8. And it gives you, like, different perspectives. And it's funny because I remember reading the book. All right, hold on. Pause. Okay, we're throwing in our leeks and our potatoes, okay? So I'm going to finish cutting these potatoes really quick, and then we're going to throw everything in here, and then I will talk about Whole30. Hold on one second. Okay, last potato.
I think the first time I tried it, I failed miserably. I think I got 3 days into it, and
I don't even think you got 3 days.
I think there was one day where she went to the store and there was an ice cream sandwich in the freezer, and I snuck in there and ate it. And she came home and I'm like, yeah, I just ate the last 3 ice cream sandwiches, and she just looked at me in disgust.
All right.
Have you thought about using the baby potatoes from Trader Joe's? The little.
Did I only cut up one potato?
No, you cut. Yeah.
Oh. I'm losing my mind, people. You could totally use those. That would be a great idea. I haven't, just because I had these on hand, and so we were there yesterday. But no, I love those teeny weeny potatoes. I remember when I bought them for the first time, Brandon was so annoyed with me because I wouldn't stop saying teeny weeny potatoes. I kept going, look at these teeny weeny potatoes, and he's like, Lauren, shut up. I get it. Like, they're small, okay? But no, that would work absolutely perfectly in here. I would use maybe about a cup of them, probably. You don't need a whole lot. But yeah, no, those would be awesome. Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm getting off track here. I just want to make sure that I get this going.
Carolyn says, can you do Whole30 if you're just starting out, or is this an advanced program?
Anybody can do it.
Yeah, you can pretty much. It's a diet, so it doesn't have anything to do with a workout per se. So
they actually say don't do it to lose weight. So the whole premise behind the Whole30 is that you're trying to figure out what your body is sensitive to as far as food, because a lot of our issues that people don't realize come from food. So they basically get you down to like the most basic food that you can eat. So it's no processed carbohydrates. It's no processed sugars, including like honey. Okay, hold on. Let me finish this really quick. Okay, we're going to throw the leeks and the onions in, or the garlic, excuse me. Stir all this up, and then we'll season it a little bit. I spill a lot when I cook, too.
She makes a huge mess, but I forgive her because I like the food.
Okay, we're going to season this a little bit. Salt, pepper, nothing crazy. And then we're going to add the thyme in a few minutes. Okay, all right. Okay, so Whole30. Okay. So with the timeline, I'm going to let that cook for a minute. With the timeline for Whole30, it's really funny because I think people read it and they're like, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not kidding when I say in the book, one of the things they talk about is that you're going to have weird food dreams. And I know that sounds crazy, but you're not eating all of these things that you're used to. And they're like, you're going to have vivid food dreams, like to the point where you're convinced that you cheated. And I'm like, whatever. No, that's crap. It's not happening. I remember my first round. And I think it was the first round that this happened like the most. But I remember waking up like almost in tears because I was convinced that I had just downed an entire tub of hummus and pita chips. And I woke up and told my husband about it. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it because I thought this was such a joke and that it wouldn't actually happen. And it totally did. So it's just funny because you read the timeline and you kind of blow some of it off. But it's very accurate and almost like to the day. Really, really like right on point with how you feel. So it's just interesting. But, all right. It's just really interesting. And then, yeah, no, it's a beginner program. I know people that are like 200-300 pounds that have done Whole30. It's just an amazing way to kind of cleanse out your body, get rid of all the crap, you know? Okay, so the stock that we're using, you need 64 ounces, which is basically 2 quarts. You know, it's 32 fluid ounces in a quart, so you need 2 of them. I'm using vegetable stock. I had homemade chicken stock, but it didn't turn out so well. I accidentally left a lemon in it, and then it just all tastes like lemon. So I'm using vegetable broth that I bought. This is just organic vegetable broth that is compliant. Please read your labels, because one of the things that I've noticed about vegetable and chicken stock is that there's sugar in a lot of it. So this is the only one that I found, including at Trader Joe's, that doesn't have sugar added. So yeah, it's just like water, celery, organic tomatoes, stuff like that. So just make sure that you read your ingredients. That's another thing Whole30 would teach you. And then we're going to add this in just a second, and then we're going to take our trusty wooden spoon. Please use a wooden spoon if you have a metal pan, because you don't want to scratch your pan. We're going to take our trusty wooden spoon, and we're going to scrape the bottom after we pour a little bit of the stock in, so that we can get rid of all of those brown bits, and that pops up into our soup and gives us good flavor, okay?
Sonia asked if it has a black licorice taste, the soup.
The soup?
Yeah.
No.
Carolyn, the Fixate book is another good way to go if you're not ready to do Whole30 and you want to start with something different. The Fixate cookbook is another
It's a really good one.
really good diet to follow, especially with like a 21-day fix workout program or something like that.
Okay, so I'm going to do just a splash of this. I just really want to just deglaze the pan at the bottom of it. So I'm going to do a splash of this. I'm going to scrape the bottom, and then I'm going to throw the sausage in with the rest of this, and we'll bring it all up to a boil, okay? So just a little bit of liquid. You hear that sizzle? That's what you want to hear. Scrape the bottom. A little bit more. All right. Okay, we're going to throw our thyme in there really quick. Just dried thyme. Just a little bit. I heard that it called for marjoram, but I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I've never used that spice before, so I was not about to. So it's about a half a tablespoon. Again, season it liberally because it's a lot of liquid. Okay, we're going to throw the sausage back in. So remember, we have our reserve sausage. These look amazing, by the way. Do you want to just like try one of these and tell me what you think?
Kelly said she's about to start 21-day fix, and she's an absolutely horrible cook. Do you think the Fixate book would help me? Yes, it will. It basically is going to give you recipes and it basically step-by-step process of what to prepare and how to prepare it. So yeah, it would definitely help you.
The other thing, okay, I'm just going to finish this up and then I'll answer a small question. Are they good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to add both of these into the soup, okay?
Oh my gosh, and they're kind of spicy too.
I told you.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
I think Theo's looking to make a cameo.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that took forever. Okay. Done and done. Now we're going to bring our soup to a boil. Excuse me. Let me kind of just mix this around a little bit. You can half cover it like this. Don't cover it all the way because you don't want it to boil over the top. So the rest of the soup recipe is really, really easy. You're going to bring it to a boil, reduce it to a simmer. You're going to cook it until your potatoes are tender. So I would say maybe anywhere between like 10 to 15 minutes. Doesn't take a whole lot, right? It's just like boiling potatoes. Just you're doing it in chicken stock. And then you're going to be ready to serve. This is an awesome recipe. We have like 2 feet? Has it been 2 feet of snow? No?
We're probably getting close to a foot of snow, actually.
We have a foot of snow outside, so I was really, really craving something like warm and, you know, hearty and soup. So that's why we decided to make this. This is also really, really good with just like crusty bread. We're not eating it, but like just ripping off like a piece of a baguette and dumping it in there and like eating it. So good. The full recipe, just so you guys remember, is in the comment or the description of the video. The other thing to look for if you're doing 21-day fix is also look into Beachbody On Demand. If you have questions about that, feel free to message me. But there's an awesome cooking show called Fixate on there, and it's all of the Fix approved recipes. So they go on there and they do like desserts and breakfasts and lunch and cocktails, and they make them all Fix approved so that you can look at it and go, okay, this is how many containers I need. And they walk you through the whole process, kind of just like I do on my live videos too. So it's really, really cool, and it's free edition on Beachbody On Demand. So it's an awesome way to get some new recipe ideas. So all I'm going to do with the soup, like I said last time, is bring it to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and I'm going to let it cook for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to serve it. It's a really easy recipe. It's super, super good. I hope you guys enjoyed it tonight, and I appreciate you jumping on for my live stream. If you have any questions, again, feel free to drop them below. I think we just had one pop up.
It says, I want to start a 21-day fix, but feel overwhelmed at the process. What advice can you suggest for a starter?
Shoot me a message. Get in a support group. I would love to have you in the one that we're starting. We have a support group starting in a little over a week, I believe. It's on the 19th. So feel free to shoot me a message and let's get started. The reason that I think people get overwhelmed with it is because they don't have support and they don't have the knowledge and they don't have somebody like me that they can be like, hey, I need help with this. I don't understand. Walk me through it. So I think don't be afraid to start. Just make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people, like people that have already done it. So just making sure that you're getting into a good support group and you have a good support system also.
Then Maya had a really good question. Said, when you get off track from your diet and exercise plan, how do you get yourself back on track? Now,
come here.
This happens to me repeatedly. When we went to Mexico, I spent the whole week eating dessert and just not following my diet at all. And then the day we got back, the next day, instantly went back onto paleo diet. So there isn't really any trick. It's just basically snapping back into it. So if you have a day where you get off track, instead of letting it snowball and continuing to screw you up, you really just have to, even if you have one meal and then you say, okay, for dinner, I'm going to start over. And then the next morning, back on track, working out and doing what you have to do. It doesn't have to be a Monday. It doesn't have to be the first day of the week. It's just right after you get off track, you have to just go ahead and fix it.
You have to snap out of it. Stop punishing yourself for having a treat meal. That's what I see a lot of, is like people will have that like glass of wine, like last night I had a glass of wine, and then the entire next day they're like, well, I had that glass of wine yesterday, so I might as well just go off the rails today. Don't do that. Just be like, look, I had my glass of wine, I'm moving on, and I'm moving on to today, which is still a nice, healthy day. They talk about that 80-20 lifestyle where you want to be 80% healthy, 20% treat meal. Just make sure that you're not going crazy. Have a Christmas cookie, have a glass of wine with dinner, but just don't eat an entire pumpkin pie or something. Like, don't go crazy. My husband's laughing because that's what he does. Just don't go crazy. Like, you can treat yourself without being nuts, okay? So again, the whole recipe's up on my blog on the Fit Law Hungry Girls Guide. There's a good little collection of recipes going there, so please feel free to check that out. You can put all of those on a Pinterest board and save them for later. If you have any questions, again, pop them below. I will try to answer them later. I would love if you guys would come and connect with me on my other social media outlets. So I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all of the above. I love connecting with you guys and hearing about your stories also. And again, I hope you enjoy this. It's a really good recipe. I'm excited to eat it. And I will talk to you guys later. Again, my name's Lauren, aka The Fit Law, obviously. This is my page. And I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for jumping on, and I will talk to you later. Bye.